Welcome to Game Time. Chris Miles here with David Griffin, Brendan Haywood. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
We got some drama to start tonight's show. The last time we saw the Celtics, Marcus Morris, Jaylen Brown, they got into an argument. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Morris apparently upset about Brown's lack of defensive effort. Celtics lost by 16 to Miami. Well, Boston on the road in Orlando on Saturday night. More fireworks.
You don't want the Morris boys always looking to razzle dazzle. You don't want them problems.
Well, it starts off well for Kyrie Irving coming through the paint, dripping.
Oh, come on, man.
That's a
running hook. Come on, Kyrie. Don't show it all to him. Dance.
24 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds for Kyrie. And Celtics ahead by 11. That's what we thought, right? Then the fourth quarter comes and the Magic go on a run.
Terrence Ross says, not so fast, my friend.
You believe in magic?
25 points for Ross. Then Aaron Gordon. Oh, you know when it's an open court and I mention his name, what's about to happen. 28 points, 12 rebounds for Aaron Gordon. And Evan Fournier with the outside game. 22-7 Magic run. And yes, they have the lead. Jason Tatum.
Oh, my goodness, that move was filthy, bro.
Keep this in mind. Remember that possession for late in the game.
We will. And then Kyrie Irving with the miss. Marcus Morris working hard around the basket. And we got a 3-point game. Under 10 seconds remaining. Celtics down 1. And Orlando almost gives the ball away.
Game of inches.
Horseshoes and hand grenades.
So after making the first free throw, Vucevic misses the second free throw. But watch this. Kyrie Irving in the huddle. Very vocal. Wonder what he's saying.
Give me the ball. Give me the ball.
Last chance for the Celtics. Kyrie does not get the ball. It's Jason Tatum who gets it. And then let's see Kyrie. Not a happy camper. Also vocal again. The Celtics lose the second straight. This one 105-103. Now that final play, point of contention clearly in the locker room after the game. There are multiple Celtics plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would have liked for me to pass it to Al and have him cut off of it. You know, it was late clock, and we've worked on that play before, and I've seen JT hit that in practice countless times, so I felt like it was a good shot.
Bad dribble play, guys cutting different ways, and thought it was a good look. I missed it.
Experience. It's the best thing I can say is experience. We're lacking it, and because of that, we have a lot of learning to do. It doesn't matter who you're going against. It matters the type of preparation you have, what you're going out and trying to accomplish. What's the big picture? What are we doing here? These are a lot of things that I don't think that some of my teammates have faced of just every single day. It's not easy to be great. So the things that you're doing, that you've done your whole entire career, of being able to, you know, kind of coast by in certain situations, and you've gotten away with your youth and stuff like that. Being on a championship ball club, you can't get away with that.
There are two things we have to get to. There's the final play, and then there's what Kyrie said. So let's start with the final play. Griff, why was Kyrie so upset?
Well, and we're going to show it here in the video. I think both of us, when we saw the play unfolding, sort of expected one thing to happen. And here on the video, so the first thing you think you might see is Al Horford setting a back screen for Kyrie, who would cut off and go to that green spot there on the court. The second thing you think you might see, and Gordon Hayward said this is what they were looking for, was Al Horford flashing, give the ball to Al, and then Kyrie's going to cut off of Al for a three-pointer there. They never got to any of that. And I think that's what Kyrie was upset about, was Al is wide open and has the ability to run that handoff play that Gordon did refer to, and that's not what they went to. And what I think is interesting from the sound with Kyrie is essentially saying, we didn't have the experience to know to give me the ball. And I think he's right. Be really honest with you, I think he's right. These are the moments that you want Kyrie Irving for. He would absolutely get to a shot there. And it's only a 2-point game. So even if he doesn't get to an open, uncontested three, the guy's got more handles than a brew pub. He's going to get an open look.
More hands in the group. I like that one. but I definitely agree with you. And then the thing you have to look at is when Kyrie's going to catch that ball on the move. His man is obviously going to be behind him. Al's going to give him the ball. He's going to have a chance to pull up for three or get downhill. And like you said, he has all the tricks, all the handles. He can do whatever. He can go all the way to the basket. He can shoot a floater, stop, behind the back, step back, whatever. He can do anything. And in that situation, him not getting the ball, I just don't think sat well with him. He's a competitor. He feels like he's the man. He's the closer for this team. And that's part of what is wrong with this Celtics team. Roles are simply not clearly defined. Kyrie Irving is the closer. Well, guess what? When he wasn't there last year, who was the closer? Tatum, Jaylen Brown. And some of that power dynamic, some of that power struggle is still evident when you watch the Boston Celtics. These roles need to be clearly defined by Brad Stevens. He needs to go in there and start doing role definition every single day until these guys get it. Because until roles are clearly defined and everybody knows what their role is, they will continue to lose games like this to teams like the Orlando Magic that they have no business losing to.
And poetically, Kyrie sounded how LeBron once sounded in Cleveland.
Hey, Griff. Listening to Kyrie right there, did he not just sound like LeBron's first year back in Cleveland when we were there? It was like the student became the teacher. Like, I can literally remember LeBron sitting there giving those exact same interviews and answering the questions in the exact same fashion about how young guys have to learn how to win. I love it, man.
Snatch this pebble from my hand, grasshopper.
Yes, man. hey, I love how the student has turned into the teacher.
Well, Karl Anthony Towns is certainly the teacher these days, and he schooled the New Orleans Pelicans. Hear about his big night next. And then DeAndre Ayton, still a student, but looking great against the top seed out west. That's up next. You're watching Game Time. Karl Anthony Towns, 27 rebounds, the most by an NBA player this season. 27 points to go along with that. Oh, yeah, and a stop on Anthony Davis in the final seconds of this one. Just an amazing performance from him. And he just seems aggressive. And this is what we thought we would get from him the end of last season, beginning of this season. He's certainly out of his shell.
Yeah, he's taken over as the leader that they wanted him to be. You heard during that broadcast that he's starting to lead some of the other young guys as well. And the rebounding performance stands out to me among the many things that's unique right now with this version of Karl Anthony Towns.
I agree with you totally. He's having he's doing great from a rebounding standpoint and from a scoring standpoint, and he's now the leader. I think that trade kind of worked out for both teams. Philly needed somebody like Jimmy Butler to score on the perimeter, and Minnesota kind of needed Jimmy Butler to be out of the way so that Karl could become who they envisioned him being, because it was just never going to work with Jimmy there. And that's not a knock on Jimmy. It was just he was in the way of the growth of Karl Anthony Towns. We're seeing him play a lot better basketball right now.
And certainly, even for Andrew Wiggins, who took 21 shots, he was just 7 for 21, but down the stretch, he looked more confident and comfortable with the ball in his hands.
Well, I think for Andrew, it comes down to, once again, he had to adjust to being the third option when Jimmy Butler was there. Now that Jimmy's not there, Tibbs is no longer there, I think he feels a certain level of freedom. He now knows that he has more range and he has more opportunity because he's now the true number 2 option. So his role is more clearly defined as it was a couple years ago. When you're the third option, that's tough. You have to be the most selfless person, and sometimes that doesn't always work out. So I think Wiggins is more comfortable in the number 2 role, and I think Ryan Saunders will probably be a more mild-mannered coach, and I think that'll work well with Wiggins' personality.
Well, I think you saw their second best player today might have been their bench as a whole. They outscored the Pelicans 36-7 off the bench. And with Mirotić now playing just his second game back after missing 16 games, and Peyton finding form, trying to find form after missing 31 games, he's only in his 6th game. It's unfortunate in the Western Conference that you say this because it's such an unforgiving conference. But they're now 3 games back in the loss column of a playoff spot, and this New Orleans team doesn't really have the time to find a rhythm. They need to just hit the ground running right now, and it's hurting them.
When you look at the situation in New Orleans, a lot of times the conversation is, oh, Anthony Davis, well, he needs to do a little bit more. But when you look at that bench, they only have 2 guys that scored off of that New Orleans Pelicans bench. You can't expect to win games, especially if you're trying to make a playoff push. Like the Pelicans and the Timberwolves are two teams in that playoff picture. But if you're not getting bench production, that's going to be tough, right?
Yeah, how many people scored off the bench?
2. And they got 13 points total. It was 9 from Mirotic and 4 from Darius Miller. I'm sorry, 3 players. Frank Jackson also with 4.
Wow. Yeah, you know,
3 players.
It's going to be really hard to score with that level of bench production because you sometimes need a little bit of pop off your bench, just something that can give your starters a little bit of a blow, or when you go to your bench can lift your team up. When your bench is struggling like that, that's not a good sign.
Well, what you really see that they lack, Anthony Davis had 5 fouls late in this game. And there was a situation where it's a 3-point game. Karl Anthony Towns gets the ball on the left wing and just rips and goes right by Mirotic. Well, that needs to be Anthony Davis guarding him, but he's got 5 fouls. They don't have another defensive big that they can put into a game to do anything to stem the tide against a guy like Karl Anthony Towns. They just don't have the depth of size right now for a lot of different reasons, and it showed tonight again.
Yeah, that's certainly an issue that New Orleans clearly has. And then flipping back over to Minnesota and looking where they're headed, Ryan Saunders, now 2-1 as the head coach there. That's a situation where this time last week it was like, okay, they made a change. It seems as if this team, win or lose, they're headed in the right direction as far as where their mindset is.
Well, I think sometimes it's about, is everybody on the same page? And fair or foul, I don't think a lot of the younger players were on the same page with Coach Tibbs. And so if you realize that and your management going forward, then you have to get somebody in there that relates to those younger guys, can convey the message that you want conveyed from upper management standpoint, and then we can move forward with that plan. And I think Ryan Saunders fits that mold.
And you can tell they're buying into it.
Yes, certainly great to see Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis go at it.